Hello and welcome back everyone to this live demo session on SAP ABAP on HANA come S4HANA technical training with AnubhavTrainings.com. In this demo session, we are going to look at what is SAP ABAP on HANA. We will understand who is this training for. Along with that, we will discuss a basic idea of what is a CDS entity. We will try to complete this demo with a real-time use case so you can understand my teaching style and the flow along with what can you expect in the next 40 hour of this training journey. My name is Anubhav. I have total 20 years of experience in the field of SAP and I will be your instructor during this training session. I have conducted over 45 plus different batches on both corporates and individual batches on SAP S4HANA technical training for SAP ABAP and SAP technical consultants, including the concepts related to ABAP on HANA. This training is specifically designed for an absolute beginner or an ABAP developer who is willing to upskill themselves on latest SAP ABAP language features, including CDS entities, ABAP managed data procedure, and how to handle your projects on ABAP on HANA. Having said that, let's look at the agenda of this training session today. So in today's demo, we will understand who is this training for. So I can map the right persona for you to understand is this training going to help you? And if yes, how it's going to be beneficial for you in your company. Then we will talk about the overview of this training. What do you expect in this course? Followed by that, we will look at our demo use case. We have a very real life practical demo use case. We will be implementing live in this session. Then we will look at some of the frequently asked questions by you when it comes to this ABAP on HANA training. Having said that, let's get started and try and understand who is this training for. So if you're working like a Scrum professional like Georgia who want to understand how does the HANA based development work and estimate for better tomorrow, this training is going to help you. If you're working like Robin, who is an ABAP consultant, as most of you are, and you would like to now embrace the change in the technology and want to understand what it means for you to build on top of HANA, how does the new features in ABAP language would help you to optimize your ABAP code, and how can you build amazing applications on top of SAP S4HANA system, including Fiori applications on top of OData and CDS. This training is going to help you. If you are working as a BW consultant like Mary, who would want to understand what is there in the S4 HANA system for you to design and develop analytics, exposing the data model built using CDS entities and consuming them on intelligent tools and OLAP tools like Analytics Cloud. This training is also going to help you. Finally, if you are any SAP consultant like Austin, who is willing to upskill himself on learning new technology like CDS entities and exploit the full potential of SAP HANA with the data modeling concepts in HANA, this training is certainly going to help you. With that developer persona, let's try and understand what can you expect in the next 40 hours of this journey. We are going to start first with the new ABAP syntax and tooling. You will see what are the tools required, including ABAP development tool on Eclipse, Business Application Studio, BTP, all of it. How can you get started with them? Followed by that, you will learn the new features in ABAP language. You will also understand frameworks like IDA, Fuzzy Search, and BOF. In the phase 2 of this training, we move to the understanding of S4 HANA. We will understand how most S4 HANA project works and how do you converge your custom code built on the classic ABAP with S4 HANA. How do you align your development with the new features on S4HANA like virtual data models or VDM. In this training, we will also discuss the core SAP HANA and its architecture. So it will help you to boil down to the level of HANA and understand how can you use the so-called code to data paradigm to write optimized code, and the code which can run on latest tools, latest frameworks, and help you to build amazing applications which are all HANA optimized, including data modeling. Then in the last phase, we'll go full on CDS concepts. We spend considerable amount of time in this training on ABAP CDS. We'll talk about new concepts like CDS entities, scalar functions, CDS table functions, ABAP managed data procedures, creating OData services, and building amazing Fiori applications using annotations and metadata extensions. Then you will see multiple different variety of applications, both transactional as well as analytical applications being built in this journey. So let's understand what are we going to see today. In our today's demo session, I will take you through the development tool, which is called ABAP development tool on Eclipse, which I have already set up. However, in the coming classes, I will show you how can you set up this tool in your own laptop so you can get started with S4HANA development. In the phase 2, we will talk about core concepts of CDS. We will see how to create a basic CDS view in this class today. Then you will see how to annotate CDS view to add some extra information, which will then be supplied to a web service, so-called OData service. Finally, we will discuss about the core concept of embedded analytics, where I'm going to analyze some meaningful business data and create a simple application at front of you, and all within next 20 minutes. So let's try and understand our use case for today. I'm sure most of you love sports, and especially if you are from India, then cricket is the most watched sport in India. And in India, we have something called Indian Premier League, IPL. There are a lot of teams and players, both from India and also from foreign countries, participate in this game of IPL. It happens across many countries, and it is in the format of 2020, 20 overs each team. So usually before the matches begin, there is an auction which takes place where the all the IPL players, they are auctioned. They will be there will be franchisees who will be making their teams. So what we want to do today is to analyze the past historic franchisee data of which player, which team, how much was the bid, how much was the price they paid for each player. So it will help us to take future decisions, and based on the past performance of the player, decide whether a given team or a player worth for a certain amount or not. This application will help the franchise owner to decide and bid better for the future in the auctions. So I have already created a database table and uploaded the past year auctions data. On top of it, we are going to now create an application. So to be able to do that, first let me show you our database table. So this is called ABAP development tool on Eclipse. It will be our preferred development tool we will be using as part of our training journey. Here in this, I have already created a database table for auctions. So what I will do is I'll press Ctrl Shift A and show you the database table which I had already created. It's called ZIPL auction table. In this, we have the keys, the country, player, team name, base price, currency, winning bid, and calendar year. This is the historic data of IPL. I'm going to use this data today to create a data model and then expose that on the internet and finally end up creating an application. Fabulous. So that will be our use case. So before we expose this data, let's try and understand which data model are we going to use to expose this data on the internet. And that's where we come across the concept of CDS entities. So what is a CDS entity? To understand that, let's understand the word CDS. So CDS stands for Core Data and Services. It is the new data model concept in SAP ABAP on HANA system, or specifically in S4HANA systems. It allows us to define semantically rich data model. What do we mean by semantically rich data model? So often what you do in classic ABAP is to write select queries, joins, selections. So instead of that, now we say that we are going to write something called CDS, or Core Data Service. Now it has two major advantages as compared to query. The first advantage is the CDS execution happens deep into database. So rather than fetching massive data from the database layer to the application layer, we are processing this entire data into that database. So the data which comes out of database is very minimal, hence naturally improves performance. The second benefit of CDS is it's semantically rich, which means it carries a lot of additional information like annotations. So we will be seeing all of it as part of our training journey today. So that's a brief definition. However, please wait. We have a dedicated session on CDS, which is session number 12 onwards. There will be significant time we're going to spend on it. So what I want now is to go ahead and create a data model on top of our current data set. So what we had created is an IPL table where we have the data in a database table. So that's our database table for IPL data. On top, I'm now going to create a CDS entity. Yes, to expose this data out, we will also put annotation which starts with at the rate of. That is what I was telling about semantically rich data model. We will then create a web service out of it. We call it as OData service. Why we need this? To expose this data on the internet. So later on, I can build a to mobile application to consume this data. So the process to follow this is done using a tool called ABAP development tool on Eclipse, which I have already set up. So as a developer, you are going to use this ADT tool. So it's very simple to define a CDS entity. To do the honor, we are switching over back to the system and copy the table name and create a new artifact. So I will right click on my local objects and I can create a new artifact called core data and service. So search for core data and there you can find something called CDS entities. So I can come back and choose here data definition and we will provide here the name. So let's call it as Z uh, May IPL data. So IPL auctions data CDS entity. Now we are living in 21st century where the tooling has become very powerful. So in the next step, what we can do is we can choose here a template provided by SAP. So we will go with this template called define a view entity. You can see the template code. It will automatically generate the basic skeleton for all of us. So I click on finish. You can see a basic skeleton got created automatically. I can now come back and put here the IPL auction as my table name, where we are defining a view entity with the name ZMay IPL. Now I can come down to curly braces and press Control Space to pull out all the fields from my database table. Fabulous. Once I do that, you can notice that it's immediately showing me an error. This error resembles it to be related to amount and currency. So since we are exposing out the base price, which is a currency type of data, the data model is giving me an error because I missed to provide the currency for this amount. Like in SAP, whenever we create currency or quantity, we have a reference field. So we will go and put an annotation called semantic dot amount dot currency code, and we will tell the engine that this is the field which is going to represent the currency code associated to the base price. Similarly, for the winning bid as well was an amount. So once I do that, the error goes away. Fabulous. So all this at the rate is called annotation concept. You can see there are a lot of them. We will be discussing all these annotations in detail in our coming class on unit number 11 onwards. There's a lot of information which I need to share, and for that I need dedicated time for the class. Since it's a demo session, I'm just proceeding further with some bare minimum information. Okay. So once we provide all this, we are going to go to the next step. In my next step, I'm going to proceed further and expose a service out of this data set. So to do that, I will put a annotation called odata.publish true. Congratulations. You just created a web service. So if you come back to the diagram, you can see that first of all, we create a CDS entity that represents my data model. And then after that, what we did, we created an annotation called odata.publish, which will end up creating a service for me. So I can utilize this service and expose this data on the internet. Now, once I activate, the service will get actually persisted or gets created in the background. So let me activate my CDS entity. And once the activation is done, the service got created and I got a symbol here. It says the service got created, but it is not yet registered, means it's still not ready to expose the data out. So to be able to do that, we need to hover the mouse, copy this name of the service, which it created in the background, and register this in SAP. So I open a transaction code in SAP to register the service. I will be sharing all this information as part of the PPT and the hands out guide. So now I go to a transaction code IWFND main service, and then I'm just going to come back and add the service here and provide my service name. Let's select and add local object, click OK. Done. So now we have registered the service. It's time to test. So to be able to test it, we can come back, and on the left side, we can just click on OData exposure open. That would now launch my service, and I will just quickly check the service. Fabulous. Look at that. So it has exposed my data, and I've got a service endpoint created to read the data from the internet. You can see all the data is coming out. Beautiful. So my next step will be to take this data out and create a simple application. To create an application, we use a different tool. This tool is called Business Application Studio tool. Now, how do we set up the Business Application Studio tool? What is this tool going to do? What are the capabilities it is going to offer? Everything we will discuss in the coming episodes in the future. So what we want now is to create a mobile application, and to be able to do, we will use a tool called Business Application Studio or a BAS tool as a developer. So here my input will be the service, and then output will be the Fiori app. So we call it as Fiori app. It is super easy to create Fiori app once you know the concept of CDS. and OData. So there are a lot of things which we will discuss regarding this as part of our training journey in the future. It's a demo, so I'm just covering one end-to-end flow. So let's use this tool called BAS tool, which I have already set up along with the connection to my system. So this is my ABAP system. Yes, I have also created a connection in advance before the session started. Yeah, with the BAS tool. So we'll use that to create a Fiori application. So I will head over back to my BAS tool. This is how the tool look like. I will expand the projects directory because all the projects we will group under the projects directory. So we'll just switch over to projects directory in the tool. Here is the projects directory. And now I can get started with the development. So here, the moment we come to the tool, it gives me an option to create a project from template. So we click on that, and then we are going to choose the option called Fiori generator. Create a Fiori application generator. Click on next button, and then you can see we have multiple options to choose. So we'll choose a analytic list page application because I want to analyze the data along with the table. The next screen shows me the connection. Which system would you like to connect? So I would like to choose my system, which I had already configured. So in this training in unit number 15, I will guide you how can you connect to your company S4HANA system from this tool. And line is in session number 10, we will discuss how do you set up this tool also for yourself free. So it's all part of our training package. But I just wanted to cover a end-to-end demo for all of you. Coming back to choose the system now. So we are going to select a system here, which I had already configured. So we will choose here the system as S4HANA. That's my company system. And then it's going to load all the list of services which are part of my company system always. So I can then provide the address of the service. So to get the service path, we are going to go back and we are again just open the service, and you can see on the top the service path is this part. We will copy that. So let's copy the service path from there and add it here in the service path section. Fabulous. So now it is trying to contact that service, and it will fetch all the details about our SAP service from the backend. Fabulous. You can see it has gotcha. Click on next button. It has got an endpoint to read the data, and then I can just say I don't want to I want to allow multi-select. I don't want to configure anything else by default. I can choose the type of table I want to create, let's say grid table. All these basic settings, even a non-developer can create a application. Finally, we give it the project details. Let's call it as IPL auction. So I can come back to choose here the name IPL auction, and I can say IPL auction data, and then we can give a namespace, let's say Anubhav trainings. So we can just put here ATS, and finally we can click on finish button to create our basic application. So you can see the application is getting created. This is how the tooling has improved over the years. You don't have to get started with every small part of every application. You can use the powerful toolings which is provided by SAP to get your application created in almost no time. Then comes is the preview. So now it's the time to test our application. So we can click on the preview application and start the application preview. At this point, what will happen? The application preview begins, and I also allow the pop-up blocker to do the preview on the another tab. And this will show almost no data right now because we have not configured anything. We did not specify what are the fields we want to filter the data based on, and what are the columns we want to see. So you see, it shows absolutely blank. However, I can go back and now adapt my filters based on the columns or the filter criterias which I want. So I can always do that. So I can go to columns. You can see we got base price, country, player, team, all this data. I can just go ahead and configure, and then I can click go button to view the data. You can see. Yes, I can go to filter bar and add, let's say, country or team name. And then I can also come here and search, let's say country is India, and then it'll show me all the Indian players there. Good. So that's a very basic configuration. But when my application start, I want this table and the filter fields to come automatically on my screen. So to be able to achieve that, we are going to head over back and configure this system automatically. So now what I will do is I'll come back here and I will configure the rest of the things. So let's do that. So I can first come back and configure the country. So let me add annotation to add this as a selection field for my users, position 1. So please add one field for filtering my data for country. Also, I want to filter data based on player, second field, team, third field, and maybe currency code, fourth field, and year. So these are my filter criterias. At the same time, I also want to show the columns in the table. So for that, we have another annotation called line item. So my first column, country, second will be player, third will be team, fourth will be base price, fifth will be winning price, and last one will be the calendar year. So I have added all the columns also. I save and activate my CDS entity. As a result, you will see computer will automatically understand my requirement based on annotations which we add in our data model, and we will get automatically the application rendered for us. This is where the CDS entities comes very handy as compared to classic ABAP development, where you as a developer have to write a lot of code to design your screens and applications. So now you can see we got exact default experience, and now it's time that we can filter anything based on any criteria of our choice. So if I put here Australia and India, I can also go back and put multiple countries here. So you see contains Australia and India. Click OK, go. It will filter my data based on country and the players. Superb. But what about this middle area that is left for the chart? So I want to show now per team what is the total of base price paid. Yeah, per team, how much is the total base price? So we will come back and now add another annotation called chart annotation. Wow, beautiful. So we will add the chart type as a column chart. We will learn all this in detail in upcoming units of our training. Now, like in school days, when you used to create chart, we create x-axis and y-axis. Absolutely. So here also we can create a chart now. We have x-axis and we have y-axis. And that's where we can create a chart. So x-axis is called category and y-axis is where we have the value. In ACP, this is called dimension and this value is called measure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plot my dimensions and measure to show the data to the user. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and do that. So chart type, my dimension attributes would be So first of all, I will decide what my dimension would be. It's the team. So team would be my dimension and my measure will be the base price. So I will specify what are the measures I'm allowed. So perhaps I will use the measure as winning bid and base price both. So let's put that both the measures and winning bid. And then I'm going to plot the measures and dimensions. So dimension should be plotted on x-axis. So we'll provide dimension attributes. Dimension name is team, and this will be plotted as a category, whereas measure is on my y-axis. So there are two measures. We're going to plot one by one. So my first measure is the base price as a axis 1, and the second measure is, I put comma and add the second measure as the winning bid, winning price in the past comparatively, axis 2, fabulous. So this should now render a chart for me automatically based on my x-axis and y-axis. Beautiful. Let's go back and see this in action. So I'll just come back and reload our application, which would give us a ability to view the data. So let's come back and see that in action. So I can come back, click on go button, and let's see something is cooking. Wahala, look at that. So based on each team, what is their total base price they have bid for, and what was the winning bid comparatively. You can see all of this information in the chart. Now if I click on, let's say, Mumbai Indians, it will watch out the table. It will also filter my data in the table. Yes, so this way, the data also gets filtered out in the database, or in the table actually. So this is a great feature which allows you to slice and dice the data and drill down your data into the system. So this is a great feature what SAP provide when it comes to the analytic list page. So of course that filter field has to be there as part of your table, then only the filtering would work. So this is how you can simply create, design and develop a beautiful application with the chart and drill down capability. Superb. Yeah, nice. So that is it for this demo. In the subsequent section, now we are going to discuss some of the frequently asked questions by all of you in the past. So let me start some of the FAQs from your end asked by you in the past with regard to this training. So do I need to have any prior knowledge on HANA? No, there is no HANA knowledge required for this course, and we will cover all the basic HANA foundation for you as part of the training. How much of the ABAP knowledge required to learn ABAP on HANA? So only basic ABAP is enough, like data dictionary, internal table, basic ABAP syntax and function module. That too only required for 30% of this course. For rest of the course is absolutely new. Even for an ABAP developer, there will be completely new topics like CDS entities, BOF integration and stuff like that. I'm from BW or BI background. Can I learn ABAP on HANA? Yes, and certainly you should learn it, because going forward you will be doing a lot of embedded analytics on S4 HANA, and that's where you would need CDS views and CDS entities. So it's very important for you to learn S4 HANA and ABAP on HANA, including CDS entities, which we will cover in the training. How much of the OOPS ABAP knowledge required? Nothing. Basics of class interface, if you know as a software engineer, that's more than enough. We don't need a deep dive OOPS knowledge. So what about server access for this course? We can arrange a server access for all of you in case you need it. If you want to use your company server for this training, you will be able to do that. So Anubhav Training is committed to provide one single place for all your learning needs. Don't worry, we have a dedicated lecture number 3 only on this topic of server access. So that time we'll talk more about system access for this course. Which version of HANA and S4HANA are we going to use in this training? So I'm going to use the latest version of SAP S4HANA, which is on-premise version 2025, which is what 2024, which was released in September 2024. That's the one I'm going to use as part of the training session. And almost 40 to 50% of the time we're going to spend on CDS entities and CDS views. We'll cover both CDS entities and CDS views also. Do I need to have any prior knowledge on OData? No. I will provide complimentary video sessions on basics of OData so you can easily learn basics of OData, yeah, without any problem. Can I also take this training in video mode if timing doesn't suit me? Yes, of course, you can join the classes in video mode where you can watch the video recording sessions after the class is conducted later point of time. Even you miss a class, this is suitable for you. What tool do we need for this training? And would you cover these tools? Yes, we will you be using ADT and Business Application Studio tool, and it's part of your training journey. In the next class, I will show you how to set up your ABAP development tool on Eclipse. It's free, and we will cover that, including the bash tool like you saw in the demo for building Fiori apps. We will cover complete life cycle, including design, development, testing, packaging, deployment, and taking our app to production system. It's all part of the training sessions. Most importantly, how can I join this training, Anubhav? So to join this course, you can send us an email on contact@anubhavtrainings.com, and then we can rest assure you that you will be onboarded for the classes. Classes are already started today. Today was our first demo session. Tomorrow is our next topic, which is introduction to HANA and installation of required development tools. With that, thank you once again for being part of this demo session. I really appreciate your time for being here today for the live demo on SAP ABAP on HANA. Once again, thank you so much for being part of the demo, and I hope to see you in my next class tomorrow at the same time. Till then, happy coding and goodbye.